So welcome to Shop Talks. This is a production of In Kitchen and ISS and Impressions Magazine, free talks by non-professional speakers, professional decorators, and I don't mean interior decorators. So screen printers, embroiderers, people that make shirts. There's a whole list. We have it on a paper back there. You can go to the show website and look up Shop Talks. There's a whole list over there. So today, tomorrow, Sunday, people that do this work day in, day out, artists, screen printers, and in this case, digital print experts. So this is my good buddy, Jacob Edwards. He owns a company, Jakprints, in Cleveland and San Diego. And this is Mike, who's the head of R&D at Jakprints. And they're gonna talk a little bit about what's going on with DTG right now and what the future is looking like.
How's it going, guys? Anybody interested in digital? Show of hands. Okay. It's no different. It's just as hard as screen printing. That's the bad news. Yeah, so we've been doing digital. I think we started playing around with the Corneat machines as they came out. I think Rick and I seen that in 2010, right? And we brought some files to the show here, and we're told we won't run them, and then we finally got them to run them. And we seen some very unique things with digital that we didn't think a lot of people were seeing. So as a lot of you know, digital kind of started off as this like low tech, no one accepts it, you know, no bag on cafe press, but they were a little early, a lot early. A lot of companies were too early and paid dearly for it. So everybody looked at it as a lower quality reproduction, and it truly isn't. We've actually been doing digital T-shirts for a long time because a lot of us use screenwriters that use the exact same Fuji heads that we use in the digital T-shirt machines today. The only difference is instead of jetting the image, we decided to jet a screen and then go back to the 70s and screen print it, right? So kind of backwards, but the cost of color is still, you're still $100 for a cup of Starbucks coffee. So you're definitely in a difference there with the cost. But speaking of cost, screen printing inks are probably, I don't know, let's just pick a number out of our booty. 5 to 10 cents, let's say a shirt cost you in the raw ink. What I like to do is I actually like to look at the cost of an actual shirt and what it cost. So what Mike and I focus a lot on in innovation and application is we call it closing our eyes, right? Close your eyes, tell me how many shirts you got, how many hours it took, and how expensive were the employees. And then the cost of materials, right? So if someone says, hey, this machine's $500,000 and it'll do, let's say 100 shirts an hour, when you really reverse engineer the math, without the inks or anything, if it's a 5-year loan, you're at 80 cents a shirt. So you're somewhere around there, 60 to 80 cents a shirt. So a lot of times that number is never on the brochure. So we don't work for another company. We didn't get a job for a big conglomerate doing innovation. I founded the company, so innovation's in my blood to win, right? So every innovation we have is really just to win and win the client and then solve their problems. Because every machine, sorry guys out there, every machine will do half of what you think it'll do. It'll run half the time, it'll work half the time, and you make half the money they told you would. That's just so... If I could rip $1 in half and pass it around, you'd understand how the business actually works. So the big part for us in getting into digital was to really find where there was a void in the industry. And for us, I like to say fall in love with the product, not the process, okay? And that's not for you all, because you're here at a trade show. That's for our customers. So I have a theory that if our customers could fall in love with the product and just say, oh, a graphic tee. Notice how I didn't say screen printing. Notice how I don't use that term. Because if you said, hey, man, I need this shirt, and you show me an image, we know this is what happens. Someone shows you an image, you're already going through your mind trying to figure out how to print it, and then they say, yeah, I just need one. And you're like, damn, my whole mind just changed, right? So you got to figure out how you're going to do that. Or they say, I need 1,000, and then it just, so there's a lot more math, there's a lot more metric to it, and screen printing traditionally hate accountants. They hate accountants. They would hate for an accountant to see how a screen printing business works, because they would definitely tell you not to do it, right? So it's like this problem where you like to just think it's one thing, but it's actually another, right? So as a great story in 2010, when Rick and I were standing in front of the corn eat machine, and him and I are standing there, and another guy walks up, and he says, I don't know who it was, I wish I did, and he says, I can print 500 shirts an hour. And Rick and I look at each other, and we just start laughing. We're like, I don't give a... You can print 500 shirts an hour, but you need an entire company just to make the screens to get on the press. And you need an entire company that knows how to print a shirt, right? But we just walked up with a key, and we made a shirt, right? So to Rick and I, although it was maybe 25 shirts an hour, right? We were kind of blown away. We were like, wait a minute, there's a business for this. So fast forward, Jakprints started using digital machinery, specifically the 951 corn eats. What we did was we worked in the merchandise market. So we actually used them as prototypes. So we would have clients, big brands, streetwear brands from California, lots of clients from California. We would print them 30 shirts, they'd hang it at Magic Marketplace, right? And even with foils and stuff, we'd just go back and drop foils on it. So we used them as prototyping machines. We did a lot of secret fun stuff to make it look like screen printing. Lots of stacking, triple links, air, everything you could do, right? And we got an extremely good quality. And our clients essentially came back to us and said, so why can't you just do that? Why do I have inventory? Why wouldn't I just do that? My wholesale orders, I got that. You guys do my wholesale orders. But what do we do about this other business where we run this .com and we're doing this? So fast forwarded, we wired into a company that did about $230 million a year in sales with streetwear brands, which is, the pickiest people with artwork, the pickiest people with, it's not sports PMS colors, but it's definitely full bleed, full print, and we wired in and we did an amazing business with them. The business is still around. It's went through some things, but what it did was it made us realize the actual real part, and that's still that printing, it hasn't actually changed. We're just adding more heads, we're adding faster jetting, we're adding some thickeners, some different resins. But for the most part, that printing we were doing 10 years ago is no different than it's going today. And to speed up those machines, you got to cut a check, right? So I can go really slow and buy something cheaper. And if that's the market I'm trying to fill, don't overdo it, right? Just get something that works for the thing you're trying to solve. And if you're trying to do it at enterprise level, you're definitely going to be innovating. You're definitely going to be looking at everything, always. You're definitely going to be pushed to, listen to everybody. You don't get to just sit back and say, I'm not going to worry about it. So for us, the big part for us was really the communication. Our success was how we communicated to clients. How could we get thousands of images to our shop without touching them? So technology definitely was an investment that far exceeds CapEx of materials, always. I don't think in my entire life of knowing Rick and being a 17-year-old kid printing, I've ever looked at my company and said, damn, this press payment is killing me. It's never happened. So we like to look at it, and Mike and I really study what we get for how many employees, and things with eyeballs and mouse are the hardest thing to manage. As great as you have employees, they go, they leave, they enter your business, they exit your business. So really that's where we look at innovation too, is just how many people does it take to do X? Would it be better off getting 2 machines, having redundancy, so we look at everything. Can you run everything with one person? In screen printing and everything, we try to focus on this. We try to innovate around that. But as far as the digital era, for us, we're really finding sweet spots. And it's never a binary thing. It's very, this situation fits with this, what the customer expectation is, what garments are they looking to do, and what makes the most business sense. Where is the ROI on your business, right? So for me, being an owner, I have to just come out of the fun part of what Mike does, and he comes to me with this thing, and I'm like, oh, that's amazing. How much did it cost? Right? Like, how much time did it take to do that? So the viability, to me, again, Fall in love with the product, not the process. That's what I tell our clients. So we rarely give them samples to get clients. We always say, so what's your .com? Where's all your products? Send us a bunch of your things you already do. Because a lot of times what you're doing is you're dumbing it down to get to their quality. Their old printer might have not even have been that good, so why are you wasting so much time trying to be amazing for them if they're already accepting it? So, and Michelle and I just had this conversation. It breaks our heart, but all of us have to stay in business. So I like to stand 2 feet from shirts and say, is that a great reproduction or what? You know, don't go any closer, you start losing money every inch you come in. You know, you can ask this guy. He's got all the awards up top, and it's like, okay, so where's the money? It's a lot of work to be perfect. No business can be perfect, it'll ruin your business. So for us, the digital thing was, coming out of the cafe press era, everybody's like, no, it's crappy, transfers are crappy. None of them are crappy, guys, none of them. They all fit in your business, no matter how you look at it. So I'm gonna let Mike take over on some of the technical stuff here and just give you an idea of things you can do with it, different garments we're printing. We're solving a lot, so you can also do a lot of things out there. So, that's my piece on it.
All right, we got Mike, who's the R&D guy at Jakprints. Maybe talk a little bit about the tech stuff and maybe where things are headed, too.
Yeah, it's definitely an exciting time, for a DTG user. Even surfing the show today, you're seeing a lot of advances to the technology in regards to the direct-to-garment. For example, the print engine, you're seeing a lot of the manufacturers use staggered configurations for positioning. Simply a brick pattern where the print heads are slightly offset. The advantage of doing that, it gives you a wider print in a single scan. So it contributes to higher throughput, which obviously drives down the cost of manufacturing. Even from the consumable standpoint, your consumables being inks, you have the ink manufacturers using these high resin pigments. So essentially what that does is gives you larger coverage or more coverage with less ink, driving down the print cost. But yeah, I mean, it's getting there. I mean, it's, speed's there, the durability of the ink, the hand, the feel. Yeah, I mean, it's a good spot to be right now being a user.
So what's next? What about hybrids, and what are we going to see next in the digital world, do you think?
Yeah, hybrid's obviously a big player.
Explain what that is to people?
Yeah, absolutely. So hybrid is essentially, it's your digital, in conjunction with screen print. So the idea is that you can be more versatile on the apparels that you print using screen print backers, but saving on the cost of registration, setup, by using a 4-color process through digital printing. Which is, once again, kind of one of the good things about direct-to-garment is the limited touch points. So the less touch points you have, the less it costs you in manufacturing. But with the hybrid, you can use some of the specialty inks, kind of add a little bit more flair to the direct-to-garment, which has typically been limited in regards to color space. But yeah, I mean, it's a good spot right now for direct-to-garment. When me and Jacob first invested in direct-to-garment, it wasn't uncommon for something brand new to happen and then kind of go silent for a couple of years. So now DTG is kind of hitting this trend where it's like every year it's something exciting. So from a direct-to-garment user, it's something to be very optimistic about.
Thanks.
Yeah, the other part that I'll put out there is we, from a macroeconomics, we also see in our traditional screen department grow by double because of it. So again, acquiring customers is part of your business. It's the biggest and most important part of your business. So as Mike said, you have hybrid, full digital, screen print, transfers, full color transfers, sublimation. I don't know why we do it, but we do all of those. So it's definitely a tough business to run, but again, for us, it's more about the decoration type, and we try to cross-train all the employees and get them out of this mindset that they have to be one or the other. The job security comes from knowing about all the machinery and understanding how to run it, and it definitely helps because we have, so essentially in digital, the only kind of violent part of it is in screen printing, someone says, hey, I need 1,000 shirts because I'm expecting to do this event, or they're a touring band and they can't just have a shirt when they want to sell it, so they need to go in bulk. They spend the money, you transfer the liability to your customer, they go towing shirts around the United States, then they come back and try to figure out how well they did with their metric of selling shirts. Digital's a little different. You have to track, like an air traffic controller, the trends of your clients to make sure you're going to have the machinery and the labor When week 48 hits, because it goes like this, and then it goes wham for 4 weeks. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you will literally, your clients have 90% more than they have. So for us, an important part is we tend to tell a client, whatever you've done the whole year, 9 months, we'll do 2 times more. That's it. We can't contract anymore. It's absolutely impossible because you don't have anything more than 3 shifts. It's absolutely impossible. The only other way you can do it is you can have a bunch of machinery that's tarped, right? I don't know who in this room has the money to do that. So the good news is, like Mike said, we're innovating faster and faster. Every year, we're probably adding 30 to 40 shirts an hour with very similar machinery. And again, that's not magic. That if I handed a traditional screen printer a 4-inch wide screen, no, let's make it even worse, a 2.5-inch wide screen, and said, I want you to set up a 2.5 wide screen with 1 color, and then I want you to make a 12-inch wide graphic. That's what it was like. So it's like the Pentium processor. Yeah, we can make it faster, it'll be really expensive. So just wait until next year when the heads and the inks come down and they just keep making more heads. So at some point, we're gonna have a machine out here with 60 heads. Thing will probably do all spot colors, and Nike can have their press, right? That's what it'll be. Because then it'll be so cheap to just fire whatever the color is you want. You won't have to use Schmeek or CMYK. You won't have to use RGB. You won't have to try to make a Pantone color out of CMYK. By the way, that will never happen. I'm sure Michelle's probably the closest to it to anybody that could possibly pull it off. But we own a $2 million Heidelberg press with 175 line, and I still can't make Pantone colors out of CMYK. So trust me, we will never do it on a t-shirt, and it doesn't matter. It looks green, it looks like the Packers shirt. Thumbs up, let's go, right? So again, fall in love with the product, not the process. And that's what I try to push to our clients, because they say, no, we have to make it look like this, we have to make it look like this. And their 5 full-time designers are sitting there telling us what it has to be. And then we have a meeting with the owner, and he says, hey guys, how close can we get? Because I'm gonna go out of business if I keep doing what I'm doing. And then all of a sudden, they get a little taste of that on-demand print, on-demand money. No inventory, period. No warehouse. So it's a great balance. Now, again, we own a distribution company. We own a merchandising platform of technology. And we've seen boutique warehousing grow because there's records, there's mugs, there's a bunch of other things that have to go along with this to support it. But as far as the embellishments and the things we're doing, I feel like we finally actually bridged a gap in decoration where we can go from 1 shirt, 24 shirts, 144 shirts, 1,152 shirts, millions of shirts, and there actually is a decent process that sits under a factory, still an industrial factory, but it sits inside a factory that can pull all of these things off. So you're a race car driver, and one day you're racing in a Honda, and then it's more appropriate to race in a Formula One, and that's really what it is by client, so.
Thanks, man. So let's have a hand for Jacob and Mike. Where is Felicity? So she has little cards and a shirt. If you want to go to the Hanes booth, Champion booth, you can get a shirt like that. Show them the little card you're going to give them to go get a shirt like that. We got little cards she'll give you and you can go get a shirt. Jacob and Mike are going to hang around for a minute if you want to ask a couple questions. But thanks for coming. Thanks to our sponsors, Hanes, Champion, Hirsch, and ThreadX. And check out the Ink Kitchen.
Thanks, guys.